Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Infestation here, back at it again, and this time I'm actually gonna bring you guys part two of our Ultimate Battle League, sponsored by our Facebook page, Battle and Trade Community. So you guys may know I have already had uploaded, the first part of the season, and it's been a while for me. It took me quite a bit of while to record the rest because even though it was done like a month or two ago, it was kind of a hassle for me to be recording on the weekends since that'd be my time like to not be at home when I'm not at work. And so here we are. And so you guys may recall that I pretty much kept the same amount. Pretty much kept the same mons. We're 4-3. I did some trades here and there just to improve my chances of getting into playoffs, which was my ultimate goal. So nonetheless, let's get it. So in this match, I'm 4-3, and I was coming off of a really bad loss, and now I'm about to come off of a really bad loss as well, because now I don't have any really counterplay for Gothitelle except for Volcarona, and because he got Rock Sub, it just makes things a little harder on me. But I had the Toxic on the Quagsire just for the Gothitelle, just in the event that he is not a Rest variant, and that Earthquake did absolutely nothing, which obviously makes me believe that this is just a bulky variant of Gothitelle. So fire off another Earthquake, it's still doing a little bit decent damage, and then he reveals that it is Rest. So here it is. I can't really get my Volcarona in because I'm trapped, and even if I did, it's already at +2 special defense. It's kind of hard for me to actually predict the switch into the Gothitelle because Shadow Tag is something of a hassle that I can't really deal with at all. So we're gonna skip to the next steps because I'm pretty much just trapped. Wakes up, Calm Mind, Rest, and I think I am actually not unaware. So it's pretty much just a game over here. Unless Metachan pulls off a really good miracle, as I go for the Ice Punch here, goes for the rest, and since Ice Punch did quite a bit, I'm actually gonna stay in and just fire off another Ice Punch because I didn't expect the Incineroar switch in, but I think he realized that Gothitelle is gonna get clapped. So he goes into the Incineroar here, and he predicts that going to the Seismitoad. With my Rotom power, obviously, Rotom Heat, sorry, and I actually have the Grass, HP Grass. So it was actually for the Seismitoad just to bait it in, and I'm able to get these rocks off here at the sacrifice of my Rotom, and here I can get into my Metacham, and now he's gonna go back into Gothitelle. I'm gonna fire off the Ice Punch. It does about 40. Hoping for Gothitelle to not wake up. I go for another Ice Punch. Does about 20 to the Golisopod. And I go to the Cofagrius. And pretty much Mummy is going to disable its emergency exit, so he ain't going to get a switch out of his favor. And he goes into his Incineroar here. As I predict that and go back into the Metacham. He goes back into the Gothitelle. I go for the Drain Punch here. It does about 28, which is pretty decent. But I didn't want the Incineroar or the Terrakion to come in. So after the Gothitelle is chipped away, it's unable to wake up. He goes into a Salamence, and I go for the Drain Punch here. It does 50, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to go into my Cofagrius, goes for the Outrage, able to disable the Moxie, and I believe he's going to switch out. Oh, no, he can't switch out because it's Outrage, duh. Well, he crits me, unfortunately, and that pretty much was game over because I have no counterplay for the Salamence. That crit kind of sucked because that means I would have been able to chip off the Salamence here. He goes into the Gothitelle, and I'm going to fire off the Drain Punch, knocking off the Pokemon that eventually destroys the rest of my team. I'm going to go for the Drain Punch here again, as he goes for the Liquidation. Liquidation kills me, and obviously the only Pokemon left is Excadrill. Now, in theory, Excadrill could have won the rest of the beat the rest of the team, but obviously not. It's not really made to beat Seismitoad. So I had to go for the Swords Dance here, and I think I get burned here. No, I don't. So I fire off the Earthquake, knock off the Seismitoad. So pretty much it was game over once I got critted on the Cofagrius, and the Gothitelle did way too much damage. So GG to my opponent. Now I'm 4-0. I've taken 2 heavy losses, and I have to redeem myself somehow. On to the next game. So actually no, it should be this game because there was a break. Yeah. So now we're going on to our divisional matches here. So basically, in the last 4 weeks, it was one division match, and then one interconference, and then then the rest of the 2 matches were divisional play. So Nonetheless, here we go. And this is the same opponent that I faced. You guys remember, I believe, week 2. Obviously, my team is rocking some pretty nice stuff. I brought the blade just for the Stoutland. Same strategy as last time before. If we were to get rid of the sand, we're pretty much able to control speed. So let's get to it. So able to go into the Landris. I go into the Excadrill here. Obviously, he probably knows the Suicide lead. He goes for Earthquake here. And doesn't reveal it's not Iforb, so that's a good play on your part. So more than likely, this is probably going to be either Scarfed. Or it could be Scarf, possibly. But I'm going to fake out here. Knowing that the fake out damage on the Crobat did quite a bit, I'm going to go for the Frustration. Knock this Crobat out, meaning that he cannot defog my stuff out anymore. Unless Mew has defog. I go into my Volk here. Goes for the Will-O-Wisp. And expecting him to have a Rock Slide or expecting me to Quiver Dance, I'm just going to Savage Spin out and completely obliterate this Mew out of the water because I don't want my Volk to die. Goes into the Earthquake with the Landorus. I'm going to go for the Giga Drain, which is making me think that this is probably Scarfed because he doesn't reveal any Life Orb damage. So I'm going to go for the Fake Out here as well, flinch it, and go for the Quick Attack. And I'll never know whether he was, Scarfed or not, but more likely he probably was. So we're going to go into the Zeraora here. Zeraora, probably the best switching from this thing is for the Nidoking. He goes for the Bulk Up. And pretty much this Zeraora can't really touch me that well. And I'm Scarfed too, so it doesn't even matter. So, because Zeraora can only really hit me with an Ice-type move, and that's only hidden power. So it isn't really going to do too much. He goes for the T-Tar, knocks me out. I am going to go into my Mega Lopunny here, and I'm going to go for the Fake Out. And yeah, he started realizing that he was Scarf Nido. I was like, damn, that kind of sucked. I don't know if that really mattered, because my... the blade can take a hit from the, what's it called, the Zeraora, and I'm just going to switch into my Doublade, which is the hardest counter into the Stoutland. Can't do anything too much unless he has Crunch or Fire Fang, so he learned from the last time he does have it. I go for the Substitute here, and pretty much Crunch is going to get out of my Substitute. I wasn't expecting that, and it goes for the Iron Head right here, and I'm saving my Lopunny just because I want to get the Fake Out damage chip. Once if the sand didn't like go away at a certain point, but you know I'm able to get in my Toxapex, goes for the return, does 34, and I'm able to knock this Stoutland off, and it was Assault Fest. So good game on my opponent's part. Yeah, he kind of got a little pissed that it was Scarf Nido, but I needed Scarf Nido to get rid of any non-Scarf Lando and the Zeraora. So that was 3-0. And now we are, I believe, at this point, 5-4. So now we're going to go on to our next game. And our next game is going to be against pretty much a very good team here. Obviously, with a lot of Marowak and Uniqlo, I didn't really think Trick Room off the top of my head. But then I saw the Bronzong as well, and I'm probably thinking like, well, Trick Room with Kyurem Black is like kind of interesting, but yeah, nonetheless, it's pretty much straightforward. If we get rid of Kyurem Black and the heavy hitters on the team, we could have a chance to win, but we'll find out. So I ended up leading with my Nidoking here, and here is something interesting that he had the Aquaberry on the Bronzong, and there's going to be a play down the line in the battle which could have ultimately changed the outcome. So he Zen Headbutt's a Toxapex, which is a very good plan on his part, but I'm going to go into my Quagsire here. Goes for the Zen Headbutt, doesn't do too much. As he goes into the Reuniclus, now I'm able to fire off a nice juicy Scald. Doesn't really do much, obviously, because there's a Reuniclus. And he goes for the Energy Ball and blows my Quagsire away. So, I didn't really expect the Energy Ball, but it's Draft League, so gotta be careful with that. So, goes into the Volcarona here. He goes sets up the Trick Room. I'm going to fire off a Bug Buzz here. I actually go for the QD, not expecting him to go into Marowak. So I'm going to go into the Nidoking. Goes for the Flutter Blitz and knocks out my Nidoking. I'm going to go for the Pex. This Pex is able to take any hits from this thing. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disable its item, which obviously makes it much threatening in Trick Room. So I'm going to switch out. I don't switch out because I don't expect to take a hit. I go for the Scald here. What I could have done there is recover. but I wanted to get some initiative on the Marowak. So I'm going to fire off a Scald right here, and I'm going to get the burn on the Bronzong. And so what's going to happen here now is I'm going to go for the recover since I'm slower, or expecting him to go for Trick Room. He gets off the burn trip, and then I go for the Molten Marowak. I'm going to get some T-Spikes up to get some initiative because I'm already down 6-4, so I have to start making some plays. So I'm getting ready to pump up the Scald, knock off this Marowak. So now Marowak and Trick Room isn't a problem anymore. But he goes into the Mega Aerodactyl. He goes into the Finny. I think here I just Scald because I have no initiative just to predict the Finny coming out. And with T-Spikes up, it kind of makes things a little easier. And this was a Choice Spec Finny, which honestly, honestly, I could have had a chance of Toxapex winning this game. But obviously I have the recover for the Toxapex. This Finny's getting chipped down nice and slowly. And so I'm going to fire off the Scald here. And this Tapu Fini is just getting chipped and chipped and chipped. It goes into the Reuniclus. I go for the recover here. Now, I believe I decide to go for the knockoff because he either was going to go for the Trick Room or the Psychic. But since I'm faster than Reuniclus in Trick Room, I could have, just stayed in. So he goes for the Aerodactyl play here and goes for the Hone Claw. And I'm going to fire off 2 Scalds, hopefully to getting the burn, which unfortunately I don't. He goes for the Aerial Ace and knocks out the Toxapex. And I'm going to go into my Excadrill here and trying to kill this Aerodactyl. And so I'm going to go for the Iron Head here. Goes for the chip. Now, here's the thing. If I would have flinched with the Bronzong, there could have been something I could have done better. And now I don't have to switch into Tapu Fini since it has Hydro Pump. So, because obviously my Metachamp is Scarfed and it's slower than it's faster than Tapu Fini. And in Trick Room, obviously Tapu Fini is faster. So yeah, now here the Tapu Fini goes down and he goes to the Aerodactyl, but because I think I am, yes, he is faster than my Excadrill in terrain. Now, if I would have gotten 2 flinches in a row, which could have, helped me win the game, this Kieran Black would have gone down. But obviously it's bulky and could take the hit. So, very close game. Kind of a slow start on my part. And, I'm taking another L right here. So, at this point, we are 5 and 5. I believe. Yeah, 5 and 5. So it's gonna come down to the last 2 divisional games, and at this point in time, I also kind of stopped losing. I kind of stopped having interest in the game, simply because Pokemon isn't what it used to be for me back in the day, and it's just pretty hard for me just to keep playing Pokemon on a serious level when it's just stale for the entire time. But again, we're going to face our boy Luigi here. Very good opponent in draft. So far, our games have been relatively close. There isn't any necessarily beatdowns. But for me, a disadvantage was of having a very terrible matchup from the beginning. And, there's not much I can do here. So yeah, I'm going to go into the Quagsire on the Buzzwole. He goes through the Earthquake. Doesn't do too much. I was thinking about firing off an Earthquake here, but I think I just go for the Toxic, which is the all-around play. So here, go for the Cofagrius, and I believe goes for the Psychic. Knocks out my Kofag, and I can bring in the Volcarona. Yep. And I just start QDing here. And here I think I get a little bit lucky, because I fire off my Z move here, which is Shattered Psychic, does a lot. And he misses the Fire Blast, which, not really. So then I'm going to go for the Cutie again. And he goes for the Fire Blast here, does 40. And honestly, I could have Cutied up one more time, but I was too worried about a crit. Because then this Psychic does 72%, which kind of will put it in the calc range of knocking it out. And he goes into the Lopunny here. And he goes for the Buzzwole. Because if I would have knocked out the Diancie, I think it would have been game. If he would have gone to Diancie and Diancie would have gone knocked out, I think I'm kind of in the positive that it would have been game. Because at +3, I'm not sure if it would take a Psychic. Or even +4 if I QD'd up more, because I would be able to take hits. I think that was Specs Volcanion. So I'm able to chip down the rest of his team right here, and I get the power-up punch, which is going to come into play kind of in the end stages of this game. I go into my Nidoking here. He goes for the Drain Punch, and this Earth Power. Do I go for Earth Power? Or I go for Sludge Wave. Or Flamethrower, actually. Don't chip the Meloetta. Go for the Sludge Wave because I need to start chipping away this Meloetta for my Lopunny to hopefully make a comeback. Now, I almost am able to make the comeback here. I go for the Facade, knock it out, and then he goes into the Zygarde. Then I go for the Ice Punch here, and I'm able to freeze the Zygarde. So I can get a power-up punches here, get some +2s here, and I'm going to get another one here, and hopefully, Facade is able to kill this Buzzwole, but unfortunately he's Scarfed, which I already figured out at the end game. So it was GG to my opponent, another close game, and now I am 5-6. So I have to win my last game to make it to playoffs, and of course it's against the guy, the Meridian Mudsdales, who destroyed me that first game that we played 5-0. So basically it's a win or go home. If I lose, he gets into the playoffs. If he loses, I get into the playoffs. So I kind of had to take this seriously because I wanted to make sure I get into the playoffs, which was my ultimate goal. And nonetheless, here we are. So I actually brought the Blade this time because his team kind of changed quite a bit. As you can see, he had my Rotom Wash that we've traded way back then, and I actually got his Toxapex, which is kind of funny. But I ended up getting the Blade for the sole purpose. This Blade was customly made to take down Mega Kangaskhan, because obviously my team doesn't have any good plays against Mega Kangaskhan outside of Mega Lopunny, so I had to be very careful. So this was for all the marbles to get into playoffs, which was an ultimate goal. So I lead off with the Lopunny here because I wanted to get some nice, delicious, nutritious damage off his team. And that fake out did a fuckload. And I'm going to go into my Doublade expecting the high jump kick unless he was Scarf. But, whatever. He goes for the substitute here. And I'm going to get off the Toxic, which obviously doesn't work. He goes for the Leech Seed here. And I believe I'm just going to get some damage off of the Tangrowth so I can just pop his substitute. But obviously, this Tangrowth is going to be kind of a nuisance to me, and I'm just going to fire off a Sludge Wave here in the hopes of getting this Tangrowth out of its, to get it out of its substitute. So I'm going to go into my Volcarona here, and I'm going to switch out because the Rotom comes in. He goes for the T-Wave here, which is a good play on his part. Volt Switch does absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing because my Toxapex was Assault Vest. So we were able to knock off the Espeon, and here is where things get kind of interesting because knocking off the Scarf off Espeon means that my Lopunny can kind of start putting in work. And it also probably confirms that Mienshao is not Scarf because Espeon and Mienshao both Scarf, which doesn't make sense, especially when I have a Doublade and a Toxapex. It's kind of hard for him to pivot. So I go into my Exegel here on the Espeon. The Psychic does 30%, does absolutely nothing. He goes into the Tangrowth, and I'm going to fire off the Earthquake. And I think I just go directly into my Volcarona because I started realizing that this Tangrowth can't really touch me whatsoever. But I fire off the Bug Buzz because it bypasses Substitute, and I think my opponent had a brain fart here because he actually said that he completely forgot that Bug Buzz bypasses Substitute. And so right now I'm just starting to chip away at my opponent here. I fire off the Scald on the Bisharp. Don't get the burn, unfortunately, and I go into my Mega Lopunny here. He knocks off, which does cut a bit, even for a crit. But at this point, I'm able to get that little Drain Punch there. So now my Mega Lopunny is starting to become a big threat to his team. So with the Scarf knocked on the Espeon, that means Lopunny is able to kill this. Kangaskhan comes in. Now I could have stayed in, but I didn't want to take fake out damage because I needed the health. I needed much health on the Lopunny. So here comes the Kangaskhan Killer, the Blade. That does a lot of damage. And I'm able to fire off a Sacred Sword on this. I don't know why he went to the Bisharp. Honestly, he could have gone into the Mienshao. And I think Mienshao does get knocked off, but I think he was unprepared for unprepared for the Blade, because the Blade puts in the finest of work against the rest of his team. So I go for the Volt Switch here. Doesn't work anything. Nidoking fires with nice, delicious, nutritious Sludge Wave. And this Rotom is probably Specs. Because I'm just able to fire off another Sludge Wave here and knock this thing out. Kanga. Now, honestly, I could have gone into my my Mega Lopunny, but I didn't want to because it'd be a risk. So here I'm going to sack off the Kangaskhan Killer. It did its job. It has Kangaskhan health like a nothing. And here he goes for the Sucker Punch, 18, 4. So honestly, I could have preserved my Lopunny, but I really wanted to make sure this was my win con. So he goes for the Mienshao here. I'm going to go into the Toxapex here. Goes for the Fake Out, and I see that he's actually Life Orb. So he goes for the knockoff and realizes that's his Assault Vest. And here I'm going to go for the Scaldinators. I don't get the burn here. This high jump kick does absolutely nothing. The Life Orb chip. The Scald here is able to knock off the Mienshao. So I made it to playoffs. I got my revenge. So now it's going to come down to the first round of the playoffs. And of course it'd be against Luigi. A really tough matchup here, as you guys have seen from the previous games. But again, this is going to be another very close game. And a really good game overall. It wasn't a beatdown as I was expecting because I kind of have a disadvantage on the team matchup. So again, a Toxapex on the Volcanion. Thundurus comes in. I go for the Icy Wind, which is specifically for Zygarde not going out of control. So I go into Nidoking here. He goes for Superpower, does absolutely nothing. He was expecting me to go like into Excadrill. And so I'm going to fire off the Ice Beam here. It does a lot to the Roserade. And I'm going to fire off the Ice Beam one more time and to get rid of the Roserade. So that's just to prevent Zygarde from coming in for free. I go into the Excadrill here. In hindsight, I should have gone into my Toxapex here and, preserve the Excadrill. Goes for the Moonblast. Does absolutely nothing to my Toxapex. Goes for the Volcanion. Now here I could have possibly Scalded because I should have expected the Volcanion to come in. And so I guess special defense drop as well. Knock off here and realizing that's Shucka. Obviously that's for Excadrill. So I sacked the Excadrill. Kind of a bad play on my part that I actually went Excadrill on the Diancie, which I should have just gone into the Toxapex. So in comes the Medicham. Get the Zen Headbutt here, and I flinch it, and does a lot because it is banded. So I don't know if that really mattered. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say whether that missed. Obviously, I got the flinch, so I got lucky. But that miss kind of sucked because that means Medicham at full health does two things. One, it kind of prevents me from getting hammered by Buzzwole and makes the Zygarde matchup a lot easier because Zen Headbutt to a banded Zen Headbutt from Medicham to Zygarde does over, like, I think it does 60 to, I think it does around 50 to 60%. So that kind of sucked. I would have had it at full health and it would have prevented him from Dragon Dancing up. So, but that's how the game works. I fire off the Ice Beam here on the Thundurus. Got it weak. And is able to get the Lopunny in. And the Buzzwole here. And the Buzzwole is able to, get walled by Toxapex. And I'm going to go into the Thundurus here. And the Scald is able to knock off the Thundurus. In comes the Zygarde. Now, obviously, I don't want Zygarde setting up on me. Able to take that nicely. Go for the Icy Wind. Drop its speed just to ensure that I don't get swept by Dragon Dance here. Now, I'm going to go for the Icy Wind here again. Making sure it doesn't outspeed me. And my Mont goes for the Extreme Speed. And now I'm going in for the Lopunny. Goes into the Buzzwole. I go for the Ice Punch. If I would have froze the Buzzwole, that would have been crazy. So I'm able to eat the Earthquake here. Go for the Ice Punch again. Chipping away the Buzzwole. And now I have to sack the Medicham here. And now I have to go into the Volk. So he goes for the Earthquake. I QD here. And then I'm going to fire off a Flamethrower. And then I believe he goes into the Zygarde here. And he goes for the Extreme Speed. And I think what I kind of messed up on was that if I would have sacked the... Actually, no. I don't think it mattered because the Mega Diancie didn't take any damage. Yeah, it's 100%. So I had to rely on a freeze or even a crit from, I don't know, a Drain Punch to even think about winning the game. So GG nonetheless to my opponent. He swept me this year. But the good thing is that we made playoffs with the team that a lot of people didn't think that I was going to make playoffs. But, that's how the game goes. The Zen Headbutt miss kind of sucked. It kind of really did suck because Metachem at full would have possibly taken care of Buzzswole so that my Mega Lopunny could have put in the work at the end. And the Excadrill at full health could have taken care of the Diancie as well. So those are kind of the two highlights of those playoff matches, of the playoff match. And here we are. So now I first round exit again, but I'm happy that I was able to make playoffs. And so as of now, I am not playing in the next season. I'm the commissioner for the minors and majors of our group draft league. So, pretty happy about that. It means that I can finally stop playing Pokemon on a serious level. I can play casually from there, then and now and then and whatever until the next game comes out. So, I also got Breath of the Wild, so that means I'm definitely not going to be having interest in Pokemon for a while, but I'll be on Showdown. Sparingly now and then. Maybe on the 3DS too if I'm challenging leagues, just so that I won't be bored. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for all the support. Like, subscribe. Have a good day.